Has Hurricane Helene now cost Kamala the election? Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, a lot to talk about today. But this is now becoming an unmitigated, not just disaster, but for Kamala and her campaign and the Biden regime, it is now an unmitigated political disaster. So, listen now to this, the absolute latest, Joe Biden, finally, this is a week now, after Hurricane Helene ravaged Florida, eastern Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, South and North Carolina, and the impact is something we have not seen in this country since Hurricane Katrina. It is an absolutely devastating hurricane. But what is now clearly compounding the situation is the almost non-existent response from FEMA, the federal government, the Biden regime, Kamala Harris, and her pathetic $750 checks to the victims of Hurricane Helene. So they sent Joey on a helicopter ride. They sent him on a helicopter ride to surveil the damage. And so he was a little bit in Georgia, a little bit in Florida. What Joey was doing in the sky, we don't know. Why Joey had to be in the sky, we don't know. But make it look like they're doing something. Pretend that you care. But I got to tell you, his dementia now is at a galloping speed. The way he has completely psychologically, cognitively unraveled, it is now truly frightening. So I want you to think about this for a second. He spends the day surveilling the damage from the sky of Hurricane Helene. He then returns. This was last night. He's outside Marine One. I'm not going to tell you what he said because I'm telling you, you're not going to believe me. A reporter asks him, well, you've looked at the damage now. What do these states in this disaster flooding zone, this storm zone, what do they need after what you saw today? Listen now to Dementia Joe's response. It's going to blow your mind. Roll cut one, Mike.
What do the states in the storm zone need, Mr. President?
Okay.
What do the states in the storm zone, what do they need after what you saw today?
Oh, in the storm zone?
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering what storm you're talking about. They're getting everything they need. And they're very happy across the board.
What storm are you talking about? What storm are you talking about? He's gone. He's gone. He is gone. He is gone. Now, look, to be fair, and you know me, I've been a real critic of the media. I think it is pathetic how they have been covering up for Biden and his clear mental cognitive decline over the last 4 years or whatever it is, 3.5 years of his presidency. But even they yesterday, when they saw that, this sent shockwaves across the entire Washington press corps. They were just, it was mind-boggling. We're in a crisis. Look, my friends, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I hate to do this to you at 6 o'clock in the morning, but you spend your entire day on a helicopter, riding, flying in the air, look at the damage of Hurricane Helene. Look at the damage of Hurricane Helene. Look at the damage of Hurricane Helene. And then you come back and go, what storm? What? What are you talking about? What? It is very dangerous. I cannot stress to you enough. It is extremely dangerous to have a man who is this cognitively impaired to be technically the president of the United States and have his finger on the nuclear button. Hey, look, Iran and Israel are now on the verge of going to blows. You now have Israel about to launch, it seems, massive military strikes into Iran itself, maybe targeting their nuclear program and their nuclear facilities, which, by the way, Biden has said no to publicly. He has undercut Israel before they've launched even a single missile. Why wouldn't you want Israel to utterly destroy and take out Iran's nuclear weapons program? Are you insane? What, you want the Ayatollahs to get the bomb? Okay, but let that go. My point is, forget Hamas, forget Hezbollah. Those are serious threats, don't get me wrong. But if there is to be a war between Israel and Iran, that's the big war. That's the war that can blow up the entire Middle East. And this guy, who doesn't know what day it is, who doesn't even know what storm he's surveilling, this is, in theory, the commander-in-chief? Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Now, this ties directly to Kamala Harris. And this is why I'm telling you, every day now, the polls are getting worse and worse and worse for Kamala. This is her political quicksand. This is her Hurricane Katrina. People forget this about George W. Bush. People think, well, it was the Iraq War that really did him in his second term. Yeah, but what really began to really damage him, and which he never, ever politically recovered, was Harriet Miers, if you remember that, when he put forth her as the Supreme Court nominee, and of course Hurricane Katrina. There's no question. There's no question. The fact that he was seen as indifferent, as late, as incompetent, the media roasted him over Hurricane Katrina. Now, compare Bush to this. Bush seems like an absolute statesman. To give you an example, just to show you the difference between Kamala and Bush, after 2 days with Hurricane Katrina, 2 days, and Bush was lambasted for being late, 48 hours too late, he already had the military deployed, the National Guard, through the governor and others on the ground, helping with rescue operations, recovery operations, getting in supplies. It's been over a week. People forget, just stand back objectively. This is North Carolina. And to be more specific, these are, Western North Carolina. You've got Fort Bragg right down the road. You've got Camp Lejeune. There should be military assets flying out of those bases. I mean, this is easy. I mean, I'm not underestimating the pain, the suffering. What I'm saying is getting massive military assistance. This is a no-brainer. My God, just call up Fort Bragg. Load up the choppers. Let's go. The transport planes. Let's go. Get the troops mobilized. Let's go. Camp Lejeune. Let's go. Instead, nothing. Nothing. In parts of western North Carolina, across the red parts of Georgia, the conservative parts of Georgia, they haven't seen a single FEMA, a representative of FEMA. They haven't seen a single military chopper. They haven't seen any government representative whatsoever. This is utterly inept and incompetent. It is colossal incompetence. And now Kamala Harris went to Georgia and then to North Carolina and said, all we can do for you is a $750 check. That's all. That's it. Be happy with what we give you. But we've got billions for Ukraine. And not only billions for Ukraine, I want you to listen now to Mayorkas. Because FEMA, This is the Secretary of Homeland Security. FEMA has spent billions. They have burned through $1 billion just to house and resettle illegal aliens, illegals across our entire country. There are now 2 storms in the in the Atlantic that could become hurricanes. Forgive me. 2 storms in the Atlantic that now could become hurricanes making their way towards shore. Listen to Mayorkas. Roll cut 2, Mike.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
You've run out of money? You don't have the funds to make it through the season? With a couple other potential hurricanes barreling down? You've run out of money? You've burned through the money? They helped illegals. They helped Ukrainians. And you know what they did for us? Nothing. 620 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, it has now been over a week now. We're looking into 8 days since Hurricane Helene hit Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, even parts of Alabama. And in many, many of those storm-ravaged areas, nothing. No assistance is coming in, no food, no water. People have been stranded. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be graphic, but you need to know this. The death toll now has hit 200, but many residents are saying, and I believe them, that is a very low number. That you're looking at least 500-600 dead. They're finding bodies on trees, in cars, underneath mudslides, in their homes as people were desperately waiting to be rescued. The roof collapsed. There's a famous photo of a grandparents with their grandchild waiting on a roof to be rescued. And the daughter, the mother of the grandchild, the daughter of the grandparents, was a little bit further away on safer ground and took pictures of them, and the roof just collapsed and they perished. And this is becoming almost a symbol of what has happened in North Carolina and Georgia, and East Tennessee, frankly, which is not getting a lot of attention. But those are the 3 most hardest hit areas. And the people there are saying, we are abandoned. Entire towns are gone. Entire neighborhoods, communities, gone, literally gone. People say, we've lost our home. We've lost everything. There's nothing to come back to. And no one is here to help us. We're hungry. We need water. We need food. We need medicine. We need cell service. We need internet service. We're isolated. We are literally cut off. And FEMA now says they've run out of money and all they can give is a $750 check, while giving over $1 billion to illegals alone. Never mind the $8 billion that Biden and Harris sent to Ukraine just over the weekend. So when it comes to illegals, there's no limit. When it comes to Ukraine and that crook Zelensky, it's unlimited money. But when it comes to the poor, struggling people of North Carolina and Georgia and that whole area, blank you. Listen now to Trump with Bill Malugin on Fox. Roll cut 3, Mike.
Well, they're doing a very bad job. They've given over $1 billion to illegal migrants that came in, and now they have no money for North Carolina, for Georgia, for South Carolina, and Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida. I think that's a disgrace.
It's a disgrace. It's disgusting. As I said, it's absolutely disgusting. It's treason. I'm sorry, that's what it is. If no one else has the guts to say it, I'm going to say it. It's treason. You are putting the needs and the interests of a foreign power, i.e. Ukraine, above that of your own people. You are putting the needs and interests of foreigners, illegal criminals. Remember, they're illegals. They came into this country illegally. But we've got hundreds of billions of dollars for them. And to be in particular, remember, FEMA's purpose is exactly to deal with natural disasters. Since when did FEMA get into the housing business for illegals? Since when did FEMA get into the resettling business? Flying them in and resettling and housing them all across the country to the point, I want to play the cut again. They have burned through so much money for illegals. Remember, hurricane season doesn't end until December. There's still 2 more months. As I said in my opening monologue, you've got 2 storms now about to become hurricanes, and they're about to hit land. If they do, there's no money. There's no money. Listen to my orcas. I want to play the cut again. This is unbelievable. Roll cut 2, Mike.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
You don't have the funds to make it through the season? Because you burned through all the money? The incompetence, the ineptness, the sheer disregard, the callousness, the indifference to the plight and needs and suffering of Americans and American citizens. This has got to stop. My friends, look, I'm going to take your calls, 617-266-6868. Please call in. I want to get your take on all of this, but I'm going to play 2 cuts coming back in. You have to hear this. The backlash now that is brewing in North Carolina and Georgia, it is deafening. You're going to hear a North Carolina man coming up next. This has gone viral all over TikTok. He is speaking for many North Carolinians. And he's going to tell you what he thinks of Kamala and her $750. 631 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Battling a little bit of a cold, but I continue to march on, my friends. I will not be deterred. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. This has gone everywhere. I don't know who this person is. He's someone who lives in North Carolina, and he is speaking for many, many North Carolinians. Frankly, people across Georgia, Tennessee, much of the entire southeastern United States. This is him on TikTok, and he's had it. Like many in North Carolina, he's had it. And we're not going to play the whole thing, obviously, but what he's saying is there's no help. FEMA is nowhere to be seen. The $750 you're going to hear is an insult. It's a pittance. It barely pays for the gas that they need for the generators to start even pumping water out of their homes. It's a slap in the face. And what they find shocking is that there is private people that are trying to help, private helicopters, volunteers, and they are being deliberately told not to go in to these flood zone areas. In fact, not only are they being prevented, law enforcement is being ordered by the feds, by the federal government and FEMA, and by Roy Cooper, who to me is a disgrace, the governor of North Carolina, that loser, to slash the tires of vehicles that people are driving who are trying to bring in water, food, and all kinds of assistance. They're literally sabotaging private rescue and recovery efforts. And the people now, they're exploding. I mean, they are livid. I don't blame them. Listen now. He's also crying. It's a mixture of anger, sadness, tears. You can see emotionally they're now at the breaking point. Listen now. This is a Southern man in North Carolina. And here's what he thinks of Kamala and her $750. Roll cut 5, Mike.
Kamala Harris, we don't want you here. We don't want your party here in North Carolina. If you're a Democrat and you live in North Carolina, good for you. But this woman is giving illegal immigration Haitians more rights to be entitled to be called American. Thousands of dollars in food stamps, loads of money in their pockets, and she's going to give the people in the mountains $750. You can take that money and go wipe your ass with it, Kamala.
That's becoming their war cry. Take your $750 and wipe your you-know-what with it. And I don't blame them. It's insulting. Honestly, it's disgusting. It's insulting. It's truly insulting. She went to Georgia, then she went to North Carolina, and she said, big smile on her face, cackling. Like, what's so funny? And that's another thing. Have you noticed this about Kamala Harris? Just as a side point, I have to say this. She cackles over nothing. What's so funny? What are you laughing about? Again and again, she's like a moron. I'm sorry, an absolute idiot. She's there. No one said anything funny. What's so funny? And so she goes to Georgia, and there she is cackling and smiling, and I've got $750 for the victims and for your family suffering from Hurricane Helene. We're riding to the rescue. And by the way, $750 is what they gave the poor residents in East Palestine. $700. It wasn't even $750. $700 was what they gave to the poor people in Lahaina, who, by the way, to this day, how long ago was that? A year ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was, they still haven't rebuilt those areas. Now, I'm going to get to why I think they're very slow. It's not just because these are Trump supporters. It's not just because this is MAGA country, especially Western North Carolina, as this guy points out, the mountains. But there's something else that these vultures want, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But listen now to this poor man saying, what do you think $750 is going to get us? Now, he's telling the quiet part out loud. We've been abandoned. We've been abandoned. Our factories are gone. Our businesses are gone. Nobody has a job. Why? Because it's all gone. It's all been wiped away. It's been swept away in the storm. Our homes are gone. We have nothing to come back to. We need the government to help us now. This is our dire need, the dark hour for us. And all you have is $750 and a big middle finger? Roll cut 5A. Mike.
These people, if they choose to stay there and live and to rebuild, they really need government assistance. They really need the food stamps. They need the checks put in their checking account every 2 weeks so they can survive and provide for their families. You people in office are so sick and so disgusting. Hearing you talk, and you Democrats or you far left extremists just keep swiping. I don't even have enough time for your ass right now.
I mean, look, I feel very sorry for him. But look, my point is this. This anger this bitterness, this frustration, this backlash, it's everywhere. It is growing and growing and growing. Now, there are two reasons. There's no question now. Okay, let's put our cards on the table. There are two reasons why FEMA is nowhere to be seen and why these people have been abandoned and neglected. And to me, it's one of the most disgusting crimes of this entire administration. Number one, because they know those areas are red, pro-Trump areas. Where are they going to go vote? Where are these people going to go vote? If you don't have a town, if you don't even have a residence, if you don't have a home, if there's going to be no polling station, where do you go vote? And they're not going to rebuild. Look, they haven't rebuilt Lahaina. How many years ago was that? They're not going to rebuild Asheville. They're not going to rebuild Western North Carolina. They're not going to rebuild Valdosta in Georgia in 4 weeks. So to me, I think it's quite obvious. They want them to leave the state. Get lost. Adios. Go stay with your relatives. Get out of here. Go vote somewhere else. Don't vote here. Because they need, Kamala needs North Carolina and she needs Georgia. Now, what I think she's underestimating is that there is so much blowback and anger, as exemplified in this TikTok video, in other places in North Carolina and in other places in Georgia that have not been as severely impacted by the storm, that are so disgusted and outraged, rightfully so, at the betrayal and the sheer ineptness and incompetence of Kamala and Biden and FEMA and the federal government, that you can see now the polls are now turning towards Trump in Georgia and North Carolina. There's something happening on the ground. But now there's a second issue. It's not just political. It's economic. Much of these flood-ravaged areas, especially in North Carolina, that western part of the state, that mountainous part of the state, is actually a gold mine. Now, or to be more accurate, it's a lithium mine. It is sitting on billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of lithium. Now, many of you may say, Jeff, gold I get, silver I get, even coal or oil I get. But who cares about lithium, Jeff? What the hell does lithium have to do with anything? Lithium is the key ingredient that you need for batteries in electric vehicles. It's now considered a rare mineral. It is very precious. And Western North Carolina has a ton of it. It's in the ground. I mean, billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of it. So BlackRock has been trying to buy people out and they don't want to sell. The federal government has wanted to grab that land and then sell and use the lithium and sell the lithium. Remember, this is for the left's Green New Deal. They want to convert all cars to electric vehicles. They need the lithium for the batteries. Well, guess what? If the storm wipes out the whole area and they won't let you rebuild, you're going to want to sell. And then they can get the lithium in the ground. 649 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, the reaction is really coming in now. You can text us 70470. Listen now to, this is from 917. Jeff, to add insult to injury, the federal government will consider that $750 FEMA check as income, so it will be taxed. So it's not even like they're not even getting $750. what are they get? 500, whatever it is. Once the government gets its, gets a slice of the pie on that. So you're not even getting 750. That's how much of an insult it is. Okay. This is Elon Musk. Somebody sent this to me and they go, Jeff, Elon is on your wavelength. So, this is what Elon wrote, on his Twitter account or X account. Yes, they are literally using your tax dollars to import voters and disenfranchise you. It is happening right in front of your eyes. And FEMA used up its budget ferrying illegals into the country instead of saving American lives. Treason. Treason. That's Elon Musk. I mean, he's no bomb thrower. So FEMA used up its budget to fly illegals all over the country, and we all know they're going to vote, or they're going to try to vote. And that means they're taking away our vote. They're disenfranchising us. Remember, every time an illegal alien votes, that negates the vote of a lawful American citizen. And they don't have any money now to save American lives. They have no resources. And that's a big reason why they're dropping like flies all over North Carolina, East Tennessee, Georgia. And the media is deliberately downplaying the death toll. Apparently in North Carolina, they just found 500 bodies. They're finding them in trees. They're finding them underneath mudslides. And they're slow counting the death toll. The official death toll is 200. I'm telling you, it's going to be much higher than 200. Because they know this is Harris's and Biden's Hurricane Katrina. But they know if they let that out of the bag, it will destroy them in the election. Very quickly, because the text line is on fire. I can almost barely keep up. Jeff, the feds are land grabbing in the North Carolina mountain towns. You are 100% correct. By the way, that's 508. Jeff, the feds are land grabbing in the North Carolina mountain towns. You are 100% correct. The Green New Deal folks need all that lithium and those lithium deposits in Western North Carolina for the batteries. This is not incompetence, Jeff. It's deliberate. So, a lot of you feel that way. Very quickly, this is Mark on Messenger, who is echoing in many ways what that North Carolina man said in his in his TikTok video, against all those liberals. Jeff, someone should have asked Alejandro Mayorkas, how is it that after the first major hurricane of the season, that's a very good point. This is really the first big hurricane. There's still 2 more months of this. And you're already out of money? Anyway, Mark continues. How is it that after the first major hurricane of the season, FEMA has no money left? Because I would love to hear his answer. Would he actually say and admit they spent it on all on illegals? Freaking aliens, Jeff? And as far as that whopping $750 goes, I would also tell Kamala to shove it up her ass. Because that's nothing but an insult and slap in the face to those poor victims. She should be absolutely ashamed of herself. Mark, as usual, is completely correct. Completely. Look, honestly, don't give me anything. But, I'm sorry, but now you're insulting my dignity. Just come here and do nothing. Say nothing, give nothing. But don't stand here and pretend like you care and you're throwing me a lifeline with a measly $750. Now, very, very quickly, because I want to go right to the phone lines, 617-266-6868 is the number. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. What do you think truly explains the horrible response, in many ways the non-response from FEMA in all of these Hurricane Helene disaster zones? What do you think really explains it? A, incompetence. Just sheer political incompetence. Or B, they want that lithium in the ground. This is about the federal government with BlackRock and others who want all that lithium. And if nobody lives there and they can't rebuild because there's no money coming in, they'll obviously be very eager to sell their homes now. They weren't before. They didn't want to sell. Now you got nothing, you're going to sell. Is this really now about grabbing all that lithium, billions of dollars worth, right in the ground? A, incompetence. B, the lithium. I want to hear from you. I'll be honest with you. I think it's political. I think this is Trump country, and they don't care. They don't care. They're indifferent. But to me, the even bigger reason is the lithium. I think to me, I can't read the evidence any other way. I'm sorry, I can't. You're willing to risk this much of a political hit? This much political damage? I'm sorry. This is more than just being vindictive against Trump supporters. This is about the money. Follow the money. You can't make EV cars without the batteries. And the batteries can't be made without the lithium. Lithium has now become almost the equivalent of oil or gold. It's an absolutely precious, rare mineral, and it is worth a ton of money. I would vote B, but that's me. I want to hear from you. Obviously, Kuhner Country, we can agree to disagree. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, KUHN is in National ER. And as always, you can vote on X, my handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, KUHN is in National ER. Okay, lines are jammed. Brett in the great state of Maine. You're going to kick us off, Brett. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Brett.
And just to start off, I would say that you are correct. They want the lithium. Even though they are incompetent, they want the lithium. Every problem on this earth can be traced back to money. It's all about the green. I would like to say that really, really upsets me Kamala Harris's offer of $750 to the people when she says that they can apply online to FEMA and apply for it, and if they're qualified, they will be sent $750. These people don't have anything. They don't have phones. They don't have internet. They don't have towns anymore. How are they supposed to do that? It's all a bunch of crap. But a few years ago, if you remember, United States sent pallets and pallets and pallets of billions of dollars via military transport to Iran. They paid them in cash. I believe it was $12 billion. They paid in cash. They didn't have to wire transfer it. They didn't have a password. They didn't have to see if they were qualified. They sent them cash. And now the people who really need the money in our country have to apply. Anyone who votes for Kamala Harris is certifiably insane.
Brett, I couldn't have said it better myself. Really. Couldn't have said it better myself. Brett, let me ask you this. Why do you think this is what is shocking? Let's just take I know it's Georgia, East Tennessee. There are other areas. I'm not trying to downplay it. Please don't misunderstand me. But, North Carolina has now become the epicenter of this. You've got Camp Lejeune. You've got Fort Bragg. You've got some amazing military bases. I believe Fort Bragg is just, it's down the road. I mean, it's so close. Why haven't they activated the military assets that could save people's lives, help them rebuild, and really help people recover? Instead, they're sending more troops to the Middle East. And it's not just North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee. They're deploying all these National Guard troops to go in the Middle East in case of a war between Iran and Israel. And yet they're leaving these people, our people, dying, twisting in the wind. Why haven't they activated the military? What's your theory on that, Brett?
They don't care about the citizens. And just think about the $12 billion that we sent to Iran. It has been used for ballistic missiles that is being fired on Israel. That now our boys and girls are being sent over to fight Iran, to fight Iran with the money that we gave them. They just don't care, Jeff.
Brett, I wish I could disagree with you. I can't. You know, as I like to say, Brett, you're not 100%. You're 1,000% correct. Brett, thank you very much for that call. Look, their contempt for us, their hatred for us, their utter indifference to us, as Brett put it, they just don't care about us. It is so obvious now. And really, in the wake now of this, really, like, you know, I'm going to be ready on day one. Okay, day one is now. Well, actually, day one was 1,400 days ago. Okay, but let that go. Kamala, day one is now. This is how you're handling this crisis? Here's a $750 check, blank you. I'm off to a Hollywood fundraiser. Dan in Dartmouth. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Hello, Jeff.
Dan, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
A little bit of a cold, but I'm battling through, Dan.
Well, I'm praying for you, but I'm also praying for the people in North Carolina.
Yes.
Jeff, this is a travesty. And I have to say that this is not something that was happenstance or just a coincidence. I've looked it up. I'm not sure if you know a technology called HAARP, H-A-A-R-P. But this technology has been used to control weather patterns. And if you look at geoengineeringwatch.org, they have real-time video of the actual hurricane as it's traveling up through the southern United States. And you can see the transmitters that are transmitting frequencies to push the hurricane in that direction of the North Carolina mountains. And it's quite something because they are controlling the direction of these hurricanes. And that's why there's no response. They wanted this to happen. BlackRock is behind it. So is the government, to control the lithium and move the people out of there. Otherwise, they wouldn't just give them a pittance, $750, when they've lost everything. They want them out of there, Jeff. And they control the weather. And this is something that President Johnson has also stated, is that he who controls the weather will control the world. Now, that was about the time that they actually started these HAARP experiments up in Alaska. And there's a lot of information on geoengineering.org, Jeff, that I think is going to be very eye-opening for a lot of people on your show.
Well, you know, Dan, I mean, I remember growing up in the 70s, because I was born in 1969. So I remember growing up in the 70s and 80s, in which there were constant press media reports. And what I mean by press and media, I'm talking New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, Associated Press, Boston Globe, not just Canadian papers, but American papers, whereby people talked about developing satellite technology that would alter the weather. And I remember in particular, it was sometime in the early 80s. Don't quote me on the year, Dan. Could have been 81, 82, maybe even 83. But up in Canada, it was like 2 months of nonstop rain. It was just nonstop rain the whole summer. It just rained and rained and rained, which is highly unusual. Like in our area where I grew up around Montreal. I mean, we get rain a little bit, but not day after day, week after week, month after month. And the papers were full that the Soviets were also developing this kind of satellite technology to alter the weather. And I remember the Reagan administration was even saying the Soviets are playing with the weather patterns. Because there were also, Maine had a problem, Vermont had a problem. That whole area just kept getting tons and tons of rain. It was inexplicable. So what I'm just saying is, I remember this issue 40 years ago, 45 years ago, and, being talked about. And then they stopped after the Cold War for a while, and now people are talking about it again. And then I'm going to be brutally honest with you, okay? If you said this to me on the air, let's say 10, 12 years ago, I'd say, you're crazy. Really, I'd say, conspiracy theorist, this guy's a nut. Now, I'm not so sure. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not. Because I see the powerful forces that are arrayed here. I see the kind of technology now that is available, that they were trying to develop 40, 50 years ago. And I can just go by the facts. Okay, Dan, I'm just following the facts. And this is an open secret. This is not, I'm not going on a fringe website. BlackRock and the feds, and it's the Democrats in particular, and you can ask anybody in Western North Carolina, they have been pestering those people there day after day, month after month, year after year. Will you sell? We want you to sell. And they're giving them a good offer on their land and on their homes. And they're like, no, we don't want to sell. We were born here, raised here. Many of them are multi-generational. Our ancestors were here. We love it here. We love the mountains here. I've been, by the way, to that part of North Carolina. Dan, I'm telling you, it's gorgeous. We have friends that live in Asheville. Okay, now they're safe. Thank the Lord, they're safe. But their town is gone. Their home is gone. So we used to visit them in Asheville. Asheville is a beautiful town. But my point is, our friends, with this, I love their Carolina accent. What is it, 4, 5, 6 generations they go back? I mean, this is their home. This is their patrimony. This is, this is who they are, what they are. They have very deep roots there. And they're like, we don't want to sell. Stop asking us. Well, BlackRock wants the lithium in the ground. They're saying it's billions of dollars worth. Ocasio-Cortez, Biden, Harris, Bernie, all of them, Elizabeth Warren, for the Green New Deal to work, you need that lithium to force a transition to these EVs and to get rid of gas-powered cars, which is at the heart of the, and fossil fuels, at the heart of the Green New Deal. You've got to have electric vehicles. And the way these electric vehicles run, its heart and soul is the battery. And the thing the battery needs most of all is lithium. By the way, that's why the Chinese are in Afghanistan. The lithium is in the ground. That's why the Chinese are in Africa. Get the lithium. The Chinese are on a hunt for lithium because they know it is the 21st century equivalent of oil and natural gas. It's now become the most or one of the most precious minerals in the world. So, Western North Carolina, for these crazy Green New Dealers, for these radical progressives, and for woke left-wing corporations like BlackRock, these greedy vultures, that lithium is everything. Is everything. So, there's no question. It's an awful coincidence, isn't it? What a coincidence. That's the land they wanted. That's the area of North Carolina they wanted. That's the lithium they wanted. And now all of a sudden, historic hurricane, historic floods. And we're not going to help you. And that to me explains the lack of FEMA response. Why? Hey, the more damage and devastation, the more incentive they have to sell. So no, we're not ordering the military. No. We're not going to let private helicopters save people's lives. No. We're ordering law enforcement to slash the tires of vehicles, SUVs, pickup trucks, whatever, who are trying to bring in aid to these areas. They're literally sabotaging rescue, recovery, aid operations. Why? Why? Because they want the lithium in the ground. To me, I think it's you have to be blind not to see that. And that to me is what makes this even more disgusting. And that's the world the globalists have for us. This is what Trump is trying to warn everybody. They'll sell us all down the river, in this case, down the flood stream. Do you understand? They will leave you stranded to die on the roof of your home with your grandchild because they're going to make a buck off of you. These are the kinds of evil monsters, traitors that we're dealing with. So, Dan, look, you had the courage to talk and express what many people are thinking. And I want to thank you for that. 617-266-6868 is the number. And again, I want to repeat this. Trump was roasted, torched in the media for waiting 2 days to send in the military over Hurricane Katrina. It's been over a week. 7:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, two quick corrections from your humble host. Kuhner man made two mistakes. Number one, on the way out, my bad. I'm battling a bit of a cold, so forgive me. When your head's congested, your concentration is not quite the best. Anyway, I was wrong. I mean, I'm not excusing it. I'm just explaining what happened. So, I said that Trump was roasted or torched. I forget how I phrased it for his response to Hurricane Katrina. Obviously, I meant George W. Bush. Obviously not Trump. It was Bush that was president during the time of Hurricane Katrina. And yeah, George W. Bush was, torched and roasted. No question about it. And that was for sending in the military 2 days. 2 days after Katrina. And they said, this is so late, it's pathetic, it's negligent, it's borderline criminal, he's indifferent, he doesn't care. This has now been over a week. What 2 days? It's on the 8th day. And the second one, Barbara, who messaged me on Messenger, made this point, off air. She sent this to me while I was off air. And she says she's correcting me and Mark on Messenger. So, about Mayorkas and FEMA. It's not the first hurricane of the season. What Barbara's saying is, Jeff, let me correct you and Mark on Messenger. How is it that Mayorkas and FEMA is out of money, in caps, in the midst of the first catastrophic hurricane of the season? So her point is, it's not the first hurricane, but it's the first catastrophic, the big one. And my apologies, you're right, Barbara. FEMA, she continues, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. They are gutting our country. And the BlackRock land grab in the United States must be stopped. Lithium, food supply, housing, you will own nothing. Well, that's their goal. Remember, the World Economic Forum, they said it openly. You will own nothing, and you will be happy to own nothing. Now, just very quick, because many of you are responding to this technology, this weather-changing technology that our government has been developing. This is from 603. Jeff, we're almost a week out from the hurricane. And like you said, there are many areas that have seen absolutely no official response from the federal government. And in some areas, the situation is getting desperate. People have run out of food and water, and they are now looting just to survive. Now, apparently they've gotten some repeaters who are looting constantly in parts of North Carolina. So some sheriffs, this is incredible, have even taken to ham radios to try to get alerts out to the trapped victims. And here is an exact quote of a message put out by the local sheriff. Quote, "Looting is picking up steam. Anyone out should be carrying their firearms with the safety off," unquote. Let that quote sink in, Jeff. People can only take so much before you experience societal breakdown. And by the way, Dan from Dartmouth, the caller, is 1,000% correct. We've had the technology for weather modification to steer and intensify hurricanes through HARP and powerful Doppler radars for decades. You can easily look up the patents. Let me just read one more very, very quick. This is from 781. Jeff, to further show you how BlackRock and the feds are desperate to get all the lithium underneath the ground, there are now reports that in those towns that still have a vestige of a town left, government spokespersons have already informed the people rebuilding is out of the question. I mean, this is incredible. So you got nothing to come back to, sell your land, sell your home, or whatever's left of your home, or it's not completely wiped out, you're not going to rebuild. So don't even think about rebuilding, and so sell. So it's just sell, so they can get the lithium. To me, that explains why FEMA's just letting the whole thing go to hell. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Dawn in Florida. Thanks for holding, Dawn, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Enjoy listening to your conversation every morning, even though I'm down here in good old Florida.
Thank you, Dawn.
Have a house up on the North Shore. We also have a house down here. First and foremost, thank you so much as a veteran for not saying Fort Liberty. It's Fort Bragg. It will ever be Fort Bragg for all veterans.
Yes, it's Fort Bragg.
That.
No question.
Thank you. Okay, so we were being here in Central Florida. We monitor hurricanes. That's just what we do. So Helene came up on the chart. At least a week before it even got.
Dawn, can you hang on, please? I'm up against a hard break. I'm going to come right back, and I want you to finish what you have to say, Dawn. Dawn says they monitor hurricanes in Florida. They saw Hurricane Helene a week out, and we'll pick it up from there. 7:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to go right back to Dawn in Florida. Just before I do, let me just very quickly set the table. So let me ask all of you, what is now the prevailing opinion anyway in North Carolina, in Georgia, is that the reason why FEMA has been so late and so weak and so non-responsive to the point of being practically negligent. It's almost criminal, really. You don't see, I think there are 2 military choppers that have been spotted in western North Carolina. There are 40 private helicopters, and they have been deliberately grounded by FEMA that could be saving people, rescuing people, helping with recovery, all sorts of bringing in supplies. And law enforcement now has been given orders to slash the tires, as I said, of vehicles, trucks, SUVs, of private citizens trying to get into these areas to help with water, food, medicine, emergency supplies. There's something going on. This is deliberate neglect. They're letting people die, and they're leaving people stranded and isolated who are becoming increasingly desperate. And the feeling in North Carolina and Georgia now is either door one, door two, or maybe both, which is these are mostly red areas, pro-Trump Republican areas. They want these people to be gone. They don't care for them. These are the so-called deplorables. They want them to leave. They want them to just go somewhere, go anywhere, and never come back, so that they won't be able to vote in the election. And number two, and this one now is really gaining steam, that ultimately BlackRock, which has been hungrily eyeing these massive lithium deposits in western North Carolina, apparently from what I've been reading, it is maybe the largest lithium deposit in the entire country. And the Democrats and those who want their Green New Deal, they want the lithium for the batteries and all these EVs that they want to force us to buy. That this is now really a massive land grab by the federal government, by BlackRock, in order to grab and capture and own all of these massive deposits of lithium. Do you believe that to be true? Is that why they're not helping with the recovery, with the rebuilding, with the rescue? They want these towns wiped out, and then the citizens, the residents, must sell because there's nothing left to hold on to. And that explains the $750 check, and that explains why FEMA has turned its back on the poor, besieged, desperate people of western North Carolina and Georgia. 617-266, and East Tennessee as well. East Tennessee is getting hammered, absolutely hammered. Appalachia, that whole area, that Appalachia area has now been completely abandoned. 617-266-6868. Dawn in Florida, you were saying, we in Florida, we monitor hurricanes. That's what we do. I understand. And you were saying, Jeff, we saw Hurricane Helene coming out a week before it hit landfall. And then we had to go to break. Dawn, please pick up where you left off.
Okay, monitoring when we're on the Gulf Coast side of Florida, Central Florida. So anything that's on the Gulf Coast side, you really want to keep an eye on it. So between the Weather Channel, Fox, AccuWeather, they all predicted pretty much where the storm was going, and every single channel emphasized that Asheville, North Carolina area was going to get bombarded with almost a foot of rain with flooding conditions. Now, you know how our governor down here works. He prepped back then. He started prepping the area. Cooper, I know he eventually came out and did something, but little late, a lot late actually. And I sat there and watched him the other day. And I was born in North Carolina, born in Fort Bragg actually. And I sat there and watched Cooper sitting there applauding Biden for his great job coming down to help them. I said, seriously, $750 and all that FEMA money gone to the illegals. It just burns you up like no end. It's been a mess, and it would not surprise me about the overall issues with the mountain area there in North Carolina. It's just crazy. It's not good. It should be an embarrassment to the Biden Kamala Harris administration, but they'll probably get away with it.
I hope not. I really hope not. Look, Don, you're completely right. By the way, I got to say this about Ron DeSantis. He's done a masterful job. I know I've said it already, but you compare the way he's dealt with the hurricane. Let's just take Roy Cooper, that Democrat moonbat governor of North Carolina. Cooper couldn't shine DeSantis' shoes. It's like night and day. DeSantis was proactive, got his state ready. They were prepared. You've got to see the pictures, Don, of the first responders these linesmen that were ready for all the down power lines. I've never seen so many trucks in my life. It was a city. It was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trucks. It was like a military operation. And they're all, like parked right in front of each other. And you could tell they're just waiting for DeSantis like a general. Okay, go. You go here, you go there, position them there, go there, go there. The way, how well he responded, how effectively he responded. Look, I got to tip my hat off to him, really. Best governor in the United States, not even close. The best governor, no question, no question. Cooper is a clown. He's a hack and a clown. Dawn, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Mel in New York. Thanks for holding, Mel, and welcome.
Yes, good morning, Jeff. Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. Hi.
My pleasure, Mel.
Around 6. Oh, thank you. About 6:25 this morning, while you were on the air, I called down to the White House switchboard, and I got a young lady on the line. And for your listeners, for Kuhner country, that number is 202-456-1414 to light up that line. But the problem is, she said that you can leave a message with someone, a live message with somebody else on the other end of the line, only but on Tuesday. And I says, 5 days from today, I hope that the people in North Carolina and parts of Georgia can survive that long. But anyway, to light up that line and let I mentioned to her, I says, I don't think that this guy, Joe Biden, is as bad as most people say he is, but I myself, I don't particularly care for him. But, to get the military down, to get the National Guard down, to get the military down here and just start bailing our American citizens out, bail them out. This has really gone way too far, but that is the number to light up that line and let, the more that they hear from us, I believe the more impact that we can make. So that's the phone number, 202-456-1414, Jeff. If everybody can light it up and make that call, just let them know. We American citizens, we have a heart. We have a heart for our own people, let alone people from other countries. Let's take care of ourselves first, and everybody else will take care of them later. But that's what we need to do, Jeff.
Amen.
Let's get a hold of this guy.
Very well said. And Mel, I agree. 202-456-1414. 202-456-1414. Light up that switchboard and tell them, where's FEMA? Americans are dying. Americans are stranded. Americans are desperate. Where is the federal government? Where is Kamala? Where is Joey? Where is FEMA? And at least we're going to put pressure on them. I mean, we know what their goals and intentions are. We know they don't care. But still, let's keep putting the pressure on them. Let's not leave our fellow Americans behind. And look, I need to say this. To me, you take care of your family first. You take care of those that are closest to you, your friends, your family. If they need help, that's where your charity goes first. Charity starts at home, as the old saying used to go. And yeah, look, if you have a little bit left over to help others, of course. What we're doing is literally the exact opposite. We're taking care of the world. We're taking care of illegals, criminals, and how much money we've poured into Ukraine, and it has nothing to do with helping the people of Ukraine. It's so Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and the Biden crime family and Zelensky and his fellow crooks can line their pockets to the tune of billions and billions and billions of dollars. Enough is enough. If you have money for Ukraine, you have money for the people of North Carolina and Georgia and East Tennessee. Agree, disagree, your calls next. 7:50 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I'm going to read this text. And I want to know if you, listening right now, Kuhner Country, agree or disagree. And to me, I think it's so far the texts have been amazing. Calls have been excellent, as always. But this could be the text of the show. And you tell me whether you agree or disagree. It is from 617. Again, you can text us 70470, 70470, 617. Jeff, this is treason. They don't want to restore the area. They want all the people, especially in western North Carolina, removed so they can grab the land and take the lithium. It's so obvious. They're not acting like normal people with a sense of urgency and compassion. They want the place wiped out for themselves so they can make billions of dollars. That's all they care about. This is the Democrats' Green New Deal. This is what it means. And after all of this, I want to hear what Bill from Sudbury and your other liberal callers have to say. Because the fact of the matter is this: Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and the Democrats have used Hurricane Helene to kill off and assassinate Republican voters. Someone needs to say it, Jeff. Also, they are using HARP to manipulate the weather, and then they tell us it's the climate change crisis. So, let me ask you, do you believe that they want Republican voters either cleansed from those areas, driven out so they can't vote in November, or God forbid, even more nefariously, hey, if these white supremacist, quote-unquote, deplorables, Trump-loving fascists, if they die off, who cares? Are they utterly indifferent to the loss of human life? And is this really about the land grab? Remove them, make sure they can never come back, and then you take their land for pennies on the dollar, and you get billions out of the lithium in the ground. Is this a lithium land grab at its core? 617-266-6868. Ann in Billerica. Thanks for holding, Ann, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Ann.
I have a question for the rest of the world. Where are you? Whenever there's a disaster anywhere in the world, the United States is the first one to reach out with supplies, medication, and help. Where is everybody?
That's a brilliant point. I mean, Ann, that's one of those drop the mic points, kind of points, really. You're completely right. And, you know, Ann, this is my great fear. What we're seeing in North Carolina and Georgia and Eastern Tennessee and South Carolina, how many people are dead, how many people are missing, millions still without power, all that devastation. I think that could be our future if Kamala Harris wins in November. I think really we're going to see this kind of destruction. As Trump said in Michigan at his brilliant rally yesterday, he said, look, I'm telling you, if Kamala wins in November, America will enter a dark age. And it goes to your point. If things go sour here, if, God forbid, we really descend into becoming a third world country, the world is not going to help us. And let me even take it further, Ann. It gets really ugly. Let's say we become like Venezuela, okay? 4 more years, 8 years of this kind of insane, extreme, liberal misrule and destruction. And we're desperate, like the people in North Carolina and Georgia are. They're desperate. Is the world going to take us in as migrants? I mean, I know we don't want to think of ourselves like that, but if things really go bad, is Mexico going to take us in? Is Canada going to take us in? Are the Europeans going to take us in? Is Latin America going to take us in? Is Asia? Is Africa? So, you see, they're not, and I'm telling you, they're not going to take us in. So, we're always being told we have to take them in. And take, and take, and take, and take. But if the shoe's on the other foot, and you've got tens and tens and tens of millions of Americans who after 4 or 8 or 12 years of Harris-Walz communist rule, we're ending up like Venezuela right now. And the Venezuelans are all fleeing their country. Venezuela is being depopulated. By the way, literally their prisons are being emptied out. Okay, they're saying, go to America. Those idiots, Biden and Harris will take you in. Now, if things get really bad, if the whole country is now North Carolina and Georgia, hungry, no food, no water, desperate, alone, isolated, and people say, we can't live in America anymore. We just can't. It's a communist country. We're hungry. We got to leave. We got to flee, go elsewhere. The world's not going to take us, Ann. Just like they're not helping us now, they're not going to help us if we have our own internal migrant crisis and ask other countries to take us in. So it shows you how stupid, I'm sorry, but it's true, how stupid and short-sighted we are. No one is going to bail us out, Ann. We have bailed out the world over and over and over again. No one is bailing us out. That's why we can't afford to fall. Final word to you, Ann.
Not even helping us now. Where is our allies? Where is England, France, Spain? Where are the people that are on our side? We always reach out for them, and they look for that. But nobody is reaching out. They aren't even on our radio stations. There's no begging for money to help these people. When you talk to them, they say FEMA's not there, the Red Cross isn't there. The only people that are there are the Samaritan's Purse people from Franklin Graham. Where's our help? And why aren't they helping us?
And let me ask you, if you were a person, say you live on a street, okay, with your neighbors, and you're always helping out your neighbors, always, constantly, to the point that it's beginning to impoverish you. You're starting to have a hard time feeding your family. But you're always there for them, always, no matter what. But they never, ever lift a finger to help you in return. And you do this day after day, week after week, year after year after year after year. What would you conclude about that person who keeps helping everybody else and they never, ever reciprocate? I mean, they can. They're very wealthy. They do very well for themselves. Germany's a very rich country. France, the United Kingdom, Great Britain, Spain, Italy, Japan, South Korea. I could go on and on. What would you conclude about that person? Wouldn't you say that person is being a sucker? I mean, Ann, am I wrong?
Absolutely not. No, I feel as though we are being taken advantage of by the world. And they turn their back on us when we're needing help.
It's funny. That's exactly what Trump says all the time. He says they keep taking advantage of the United States. And whenever I say, no, you're not going to take advantage of us anymore, I'm going to protect my citizens and my country and my people first. All of my people. I'm the bad guy? So as Trump says, so they keep ripping us off. And when I say, no, you're going to stop ripping us off. This is going to be a two-way relationship, two-way street, reciprocal. Yes, I help you, but you got to help me. And suddenly I'm the monster, I'm the ogre. And you are 1,000% correct. Thank you for that call. Where are they now? Seriously, where are they now? Mike, How much time left? Now? Okay. 8 o'clock. You know what that means. Kuhner's call log. Caller of the week.
It's time for Kuhner's Call Log, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, Rachel.
I'm originally from Western North Carolina. My entire family is there, and the reason they're only focusing on Asheville is because it is the liberal pocket. They're not focusing on any other mountainous regions such as Banner Elk or Wilkes County or Elkin or all the other towns that are 2 hours east of Asheville. And those towns, like you're talking about people that are 45 minutes, an hour from grocery stores. They live off the land, and that's how they survive. So I just don't think people are really understanding just exactly what conditions these folks are in. I mean, my mom took supplies into town the other day, and there's a herd of people driving up on ATVs 3 and 4 hours to get people supplies because there is no help. But what can we expect? I mean, there is no administration. There is no president. There is no vice president. She's too busy talking about Doritos and partying in her dad's car to even have a concept of what's going on in our states, let alone the entire world. We are on our own for the next 5 weeks. And I just hope that people understand what's really going on in North Carolina. It's not just a little bit of a flood. I mean, you cannot buy this administration a clue.
And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. Is that a charming accent or what? Huh? That beautiful southern North Carolina and South Carolina as well. That Carolina drawl or accent, huh? I mean, I could listen to that all day. So when I visit when I used to visit, I guess, my friends in Asheville, and we would talk, and they say, Jeff, you're not saying very much. And I'm like, I just don't stop talking. I just want to listen to you. Carl Lamb is one of them. He's used to be a radio host. He's now retired. And he's got a wonderful family, and they live in that area. And my thoughts and prayers are always with them now. And I just sit around with him and his daughter and his son-in-law and his son, and I just keep talking. That's all. Just tell me your life story. Just don't stop talking, because I can listen to that accent all day, all night. Anyway, she's completely right. Rachel, that caller of the week. So many of these towns are now being in Western North Carolina completely ignored, completely abandoned, completely betrayed. And they are the ones now who are, on ham radios or desperately trying to get the word out. We are isolated. We're alone. We have no water. We are cut off. We have no food. We desperately need help. We are going to die. And we're now a week, eight days into this crisis. And you've got two of the finest military bases in the entire country, hell, in the world, right there in North Carolina. Camp Lejeune and Fort Bragg. Camp Lejeune and Fort Bragg. And you're not activating all those military assets? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And then the poor private citizens, these great patriots who on their own, on their time, their dime, are renting private helicopters to rescue and save people's lives or to drop in supplies from the sky. Saying, okay, if we can't even save them, here, give them, drop them a couple cases of water, drop some food. They're being deliberately told by FEMA, we will arrest you if you continue to be in the sky. And they're turning around saying, okay, fine. If we saw military choppers everywhere or government helicopters, okay, fine. You guys want to take it, go ahead to take it over. But there's nobody there. FEMA is nowhere to be seen. The military's nowhere to be seen. The National Guard is nowhere to be seen. So they say, we're supposed to sit around and let our fellow Americans just stand there and twist in the wind and die slowly? I want you to listen to this. I played it yesterday. I want to play it again because it captures the essence of what is happening right now. So this is Jonathan Howard. He is with the Florida State Guard Special Missions Unit. So he's a member of the National Guard, but the National Guard was not called up. It wasn't activated. So on Sunday, this was, 6 days ago. And by the way, nothing has changed in 6 days. He says he and his buddies, patriots, say, look, the hell with this. We can't sit around and watch fellow Americans dying, standing on roofs that are collapsing, who need food, need water, need medicine. They need it now. So he and his buddies rent a private helicopter to go and rescue people. And I want you to listen now to what he says. He's talking about Harris, Biden, the governor of North Carolina, that clown Roy Cooper, and politicians in general. Roll cut 7, Mike.
I came up here on Sunday with aerial recovery before we even got activated. We flew up here, and then we got activated, which is great. I had my team up here working as well. Here's the problem. I'm going to tell you everything that's happening from the ground, what I'm actually seeing, because what they're telling you is complete news, and these politicians don't have a clue, and they're lying. And I'll say this now, and I'll say it at the end of the video. The only thing I need from this video is helicopters. If I have helicopters, I can save lives. Without helicopters, I can't reach these people. It doesn't matter how many chainsaws and trucks I got, I can't get to them. They're 10 miles in, 20 miles, 40 miles in the mountains. There's no way to get with them or even communicate with them.
I mean, think about this. So they're deep in the mountains. You've got flooding that is 7-8 feet above elevation. So they're trapped. They're literally, cars can't get in, Jeeps can't get in, vehicles can't get in. The only way to save them or to even drop supplies is from the air. And this is what he's really upset about. I want you to listen to this. They're the ones saving lives. In fact, he talks about a baby that he and his buddy saved. And yet CNN, this is CNN, they go on live on the air and they lie. And they claim, no, the National Guard, FEMA, they rescued that baby. And they're like, they didn't lift a finger. It was all us. The people now that they're saying, we don't want you flying the helicopters, ground the helicopters. Roll cut 7A, Mike.
I am literally flying around in a civilian helicopter looking for SOS messages carved in the mud or painted on the ground, and we're dropping down and saving them. What got me fired up about this was yesterday, me and my team did the rescue of that 11-day-old baby. And all these government officials and social media, they're showing that video, that pictures and video of that rescue, and claiming that they have some government help with that. And I mean, even USA, I think it was USA Today, wrote an article about it saying it was a Florida National Guard that went and got it, with a helicopter. No, it was me, my buddy Charlie, and a civilian named Zeb with his own personal helicopter out of Wilmington, North Carolina. Without that civilian, that baby would be dead.
It's Jonathan, Charlie, and Zeb. A civilian was with his own private helicopter from Wilmington, Wilmington, North Carolina, that saves a baby that's 11 days old. He's like, if we didn't do this, that baby's dead. Now, what he's saying is, and the government doesn't care. That's what's just mind-boggling. Listen now to this. It's not just babies. They rescued an old lady. She was going to die. He said if we not saved her, she would have been dead in a day, 2 days max. This poor elderly woman is dead. Now, I want you to listen carefully. How many civilian helicopters and how many National Guard Blackhawks? And that tells you everything you need to know. Roll cut 7B, Mike.
And the old lady we went and rescued after that, she'd be dead too because she had 1 day left of oxygen. That no one was going to go get them. I will tell you, when we go up in the air, I probably see 40 civilian helicopters, and I might see 2 Blackhawks, National Guard, military, whatever they are. That's it. No one's out there doing rescues. I have my entire team up here from Florida right now, and they have no ability to go rescue these people other than what they can drive to. And the people that are in dire need, they're out in the mountains. They are completely cut off.
Well, that's where the lithium is. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just a fact. I mean, not all, but, much of the lithium, that's where it is. Now, they've grounded the civilian helicopters, and they've been told, FEMA has now come in and said, through the Harris-Biden regime, we catch you in the sky, you're going to be arrested. So now they're going to arrest citizens, civilians, for saving Americans. Very quickly, roll cut 7C, Mike.
There's no military. There's no one's doing nothing. It blows my mind. And they're not even allowing people to see what's really going on.
You got Fort Bragg. You got Camp Lejeune. You could save everybody. They don't want to save anybody. 820 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Gordon in the great state of Vermont. Thanks for holding, Gordon, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. It's wonderful to hear you here in Vermont with my special radio and booster antenna so I can listen to your program every day. I used to live in Massachusetts, and I grew up with some kids that were in all kinds of high-level scientific and medical and other things. And one of them, his dad was a cloud seeder. His name was Howell, operated out of Hanscom Field. And the thing is that geoengineering of different kinds has been going on for a long time, but I've been watching the skies for decades, and one thing I notice is you don't see the sky as well down there in Mass, but if you're out in the open space, when's the last time you saw a very deep blue sky?
That's a really good point, Gordon. I never thought of it, but you're right. It's been Gordon, it's been a long time, my friend.
Because I got interested, I was always sort of knowledgeable that this kind of stuff had been going on in one scale or another, but that thanks to the internet, I found some credible, you find both ridiculous and, real sites about everything that's controversial. And among them, to see the plans and things like papers from the Air Force, like weather as a force multiplier, how they'd been for a long time working on, controlling or influencing the weather as a tool of war. For instance, like in Vietnam, and they, apparently they made it rain all the time to gum up the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And so it's a real thing, and now we can see that this incredible greed combined with this incredible technology is sending us into a nightmare world. I don't doubt that is what happened. That I'd never heard this about the minerals that they want to clear that whole area out for. That was it cobalt, and it makes perfect sense because you just see how heartless the people that run this show are, and they have extremely powerful technology that's way beyond what most people can imagine, but it's completely real, and I don't doubt they're doing this. Cobalt, they're going to make $1 trillion on cobalt, just wipe out a few thousand people. Wouldn't doubt it at all, and just want to say that.
No, Gordon, look, you can look it up. Please don't take my word for it. And local North Carolina press, to their, to the local media, to give them their due, have been all over this story. BlackRock in particular. There are others, but BlackRock has really been spearheading this. They have been making offer after offer after offer to residents, homeowners, the towns. They want the land. And they say, well, what are you interested in Western North Carolina for? And they're like, it's the lithium. We want all that lithium. That lithium is gold because you need it for the batteries for all these, electric cars and electric vehicles. And they're saying, we want it. And it's not just, BlackRock. Liberal left-wing Democrats see the future. The heart of the Green New Deal is to end fossil fuels. That's the heart of it. And the way to get rid of it is you get rid of gas-powered cars, you get rid of gas stoves, you get rid of just, oil and gas. That's the key. Well, and so they want everything, mandating everything to EVs. By the way, I don't want to get lost in the weeds here, Gordon. That's why Trump is telling the auto workers, if they keep forcing you guys into these EVs or to make EVs, they're going to wipe out Detroit. The auto industry in Detroit's going to be killed. You're finished. It's China that's going to be making most of these cars. They're making the batteries for these cars, and they need the lithium for the batteries in these cars. That's why China is obsessed. In fact, that's why they become now a global empire. They're going to say, well, why is China now? Africa, they're everywhere. Latin America, everywhere. Afghanistan. Gordon, you can look it up. I mean, the Wall Street Journal reported on this. The New York Times. I'm not, you don't have to go to some, fringe website. Our troops weren't even out as we were withdrawing. Our troops were still there. China already sent their people in to negotiate with the Taliban. Why? They want the cobalt. They want the lithium. They want the minerals in the ground. In fact, I'll tell you what the Chinese told the Taliban. You can run Afghanistan above the ground. We don't care what you do. We want what's underneath the ground. And the Taliban said, sure. Like, what do these people know about electric cars or EVs or any industry or any economic productivity or production? And these are 7th century barbarians. So they signed the contract with the Chinese. You can suck everything out of the ground. You can bleed us white. We don't care. Just give us the money. So they want that lithium in Western North Carolina. BlackRock wants it. Harris and Biden want it. The globalists want it. The Green New Dealers want it. And it's awfully convenient. Now, in the wake of this hurricane, look at the way FEMA's behaving. It's not normal. You're not saving anybody. You're not rescuing anybody. There's no recovery. You're removing people and telling them leave and don't ever come back. Because you're basically telling them now you're going to sell. And how many people die? They don't care. 8:32 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. So just to put an exclamation point on what I was saying before the break, it's a land grab. To me, it explains so much of what's going on now in Western North Carolina, in Georgia, and many of these areas. Otherwise, that, and obviously they're trying to influence the election. So drive these people out of these red counties, out of these MAGA strongholds. They don't care. Let them leave. Where are they going to vote? There's 4 weeks left. Where are they going to vote? The town is gone. Their homes are gone. There's going to be no polling stations in 4 weeks. So they figure let them leave the state or go wherever, stay with their relatives. Now, what I want to know is this, and we know the question answers itself. So when these poor people who are now essentially internally displaced refugees, whether it be in eastern Tennessee, whether it be in large parts of Georgia, whether it be obviously in western North Carolina, when they're resettled, I know they're getting their dinky $750 check, but are they going to be put up in 5-star hotels? I'm just curious. No, really, are they going to be treated like the illegals? Are they going to be put up in a Holiday Inn or a Comfort Inn? Are they going to be given $64 a day, catered meals? Over $260? What is it, $256? $256 for a family of 4 a day. in catered food? I'm just curious. Are they going to get free food stamps? EBT? Jeans, sneakers, phones, cell phones, computers, prepaid debit cards? How about dry cleaning? Paid dry cleaning. Are they going to get free Uber and free, I'm just curious, or free Lyft? Are they going to be treated the way the illegals are being treated in California, here in Massachusetts, up in Vermont, in New York City, in Chicago, and across the entire country? Because that's what Biden and Harris have budgeted for. And that's what when FEMA has spent $1 billion to fly them around in the dead of night and resettle them, that's where they put them. They put them in hotels and very nice motels. So I'm just curious, if you're lucky to survive, if you're lucky to live through this, and someone finally rescues you, okay, say you're some poor, living in the mountains in North Carolina, are you going to be put up in a Holiday Inn and have 3 catered meals a day? I'm just asking. Now, we know the answer to that. Blank you. That's the answer. As Elon Musk said, how long are Americans going to take being treated, third-class citizens in their own country? Treat me like an illegal. Treat all of us like we're illegals. That's all we're asking for now. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Nancy in Maine. Thanks for holding, Nancy, and welcome.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Nancy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you. So I'm so upset about all of this. This is just insane. And
it's outrageous.
I have 3 points. One, this is what happens when you have leaders that don't believe in God. Because if they did, are you kidding? You have to go help those people. They're children of God. 1. 2, should we, Kuhner country, let's protest this weekend. They're going to have to show it if there's large numbers. They're going to have to show it on the news. So why? We're all here. It won't cost us much. Let's go protest. Make your own sign. 2, can we do a YouFundMe for these people so when they do get somewhere, they have something, more than $750 perhaps, not millions maybe per person, but something they can get some meals. 4, can Trump do something if he gets in to say, you can build there, don't sell your land, and start, what do you call that? Whatever he's doing, advertising or campaigning on that. Say, listen, if I get in, you're not going to have to sell your land. I'm going to do this. How about that?
Well, Nancy, look, I got to tell you, you put your finger right on it. And this is not coming from Trump. This is what I find remarkable about Americans. It's why I love this country, really, and why I love its people. Most resilient, self-reliant, brave people, decent people, I'm telling you, you will ever find anywhere on the planet. I'm really, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. No, the people of North Carolina, the people of Georgia, of East Tennessee, are basically giving BlackRock and the feds the middle finger. Even they're saying, no, we're not going to sell. Even now. You got us way over a barrel. I mean, think about this. Just stand back for a second, Nancy, okay? Say, I'm not talking about losing your child or losing your parents or losing a loved one or dear family, friends, or as these people have suffered, okay? Let's just let that go. You've lost your home, your belongings, everything. It's all gone. It's gone. Now, can you just sit back for a second, everybody, and ask yourself, my home is gone. Everything inside my home is gone. Everything. Like everything. I have these pictures. I'm surrounded with them here. Okay. I'm doing the show today from my home. Okay. I'm not feeling well, so I'm doing the show from home. And I've got here, Grace and I, our engagement right in front of me. You know how much that picture means to me? I've got my young daughter, Ava, at her baptism. You know how much that picture means to me? Ashton, First Communion. You know how much that picture means to me? I'm just at my desk, and that alone, you can't replace that. You can't. And I don't want to seem materialistic or greedy because I'm really not that kind of a man. I have built up a wonderful library collection. It's taken me decades. I have some of the best history books in the world by some of the best writers and authors. And I've spent a lot of money, but it's the time. I track them down at these bookstores, secondhand stores, used bookstores. What I'm saying is, to lose all of that, it would be heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. This is my home. This is my family. These are my memories. And I have nothing to come back to? And you're telling me as I've lost everything? Here, sign. Just sign on the bottom line. You got nothing now. Okay, you've got no money, you've got no town, you have no job. It's all gone. Your home, everything. It's all gone. Your community is gone. So, hey buddy, Jeff, what are you staying here for? There's nothing to stay for. But we'll buy it. I bet you need that $100,000 now, huh? You could use that $100K right now, huh? Come on, Jeff. Think of your wife. Think of your children. Just sign on the bottom line, baby. Because we want that lithium underneath your home. We want that lithium in your backyard. Most people would say, you're holding the proverbial gun to my head. Okay, I'm going to sign. They're not signing. They're not signing. They're too proud to sign. They said, no, we'll survive. I don't know how. We'll eat off the land. We'll eat animals. We'll do whatever we got to do. But we're not going to sell. And I think the reason why is they're hoping and praying that Trump comes back to power. And they realize when Trump comes back to power, Trump is going to tell FEMA, get your ass out of Western North Carolina. We're going to clean that place up. We're going to rebuild everything. You're going to keep your land. So they're clinging until November 5th. They're clinging. And that's why we have to deliver for them, Nancy. We have to do this for these people. We have to get Trump into office. We can't betray them. They've been betrayed by their own government. Now we have to stand with them, rescue this country. That's what voting for Trump is now. It's a national rescue. What say you, Nancy?
I say they are very strong people if they're able to say no and have nothing. And that's admirable and good for them, and they are good Americans. And I'm just going to keep praying for them, but I'm willing to open a YouFundMe page. I'm willing to go out and protest to bring up, that because in Massachusetts, how many people know about this?
That's a great point. Look, I played it earlier on in the show. I'm going to play it again. You know what they're telling Kamala? Look, they have nothing. She's offered them $750. You're going to hear their response next. 8:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. Okay, many of you have probably seen it. It is all over TikTok. It has gone viral. It sums up now the feelings of many, many people in North Carolina and Georgia regarding Kamala Harris, FEMA, and her paltry, measly, frankly insulting $750 check. So this is a North Carolina man, and he says, as a proud Southerner and a proud American, this is our response, Kamala, to your $750. Roll cut 5, Mike.
Kamala Harris, we don't want you here. We don't want your party here in North Carolina. If you're a Democrat and you live in North Carolina, good for you. But this woman is given illegal immigration, Haitians, more rights to be entitled to be called American. Thousands of dollars in food stamps, loads of money in their pockets, and she's going to give the people in the mountains $750. You can take that money and go wipe your ass with it, Kamala.
There you go. There you go. That's how we say things here in Boston, baby. Good for you. Seriously. Good for you. That's there. That's what you can do with your $750. You think you're going to buy us off that cheap? Like, I mean, it's insulting on every level. So we're desperate. We've lost everything. And this is what you think we're going to, you're going to buy us with $750? Now, listen to him, because this, I'm telling you, Trump wins in November. This is what's going to happen. Everything that he's asking for. You know me. Generally I'm a small government guy. I'm a small government conservative. But when Americans are hurting like this, they need government help. I'm all for it. We should give them all the help and assistance that they need to rebuild their communities, get their jobs back, businesses back, most importantly, their homes back, their lives back, so they can stand on their own 2 feet again. Listen now to this poor guy saying, forget $750. Are you serious? Here's what we really need. Roll cut 5A. Mike.
These people, if they choose to stay there and live and to rebuild, they really need government assistance. They really need the food stamps. They need the checks put in their checking account every 2 weeks so they can survive and provide for their families. You people in office are so sick and so disgusting. Hearing you talk, and you Democrats or you far left extremists just keep swiping. I don't even have enough time for your ass right now.
They're going to hear from the people of North Carolina and the people of Georgia, I'm telling you, on November 5th. Okay? You mark my words. Okay? She has kissed the state goodbye. Goodbye. Those 2 states are now going to go Trump, and they're going to go Trump big. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Jeff in Florida. Thanks for holding, Jeff, and welcome.
Hey, thank you, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call. I don't know if you remember, but I was the reporter, the guy that was in the Hurricane Ian 2 years ago at Fort Myers.
Oh, wow. That was you, Jeff?
Yeah, that was me. And
wow, okay.
I just wanted to call in today. I've been watching all of this last couple of days. My heart goes out to these people coming from someone that's lived through something like this. And what my experience was, the hurricane hit at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was over at 1 p.m. You wake up in the morning, you're totally frazzled. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what the day is going to bring for you. And what got me through that day was about 11 a.m., that first morning after the hurricane, you heard the helicopters. And that gave you hope. That gave you knew that people out there that cared about you. You knew that help was on the way. And these poor people up in North Carolina that go day after day after day, not hearing anything, not knowing anything, it doesn't give you hope. Hope gets you to continue to go to the next day, that things are going to get better. And my experience with DeSantis, I don't know if Biden had anything to do with rescue efforts, but DeSantis did a job that was so remarkable. People had a reason to get up every day and go forward and try to rebuild their lives. These people up in North Carolina, without hearing the helicopters, without anything for day after day, it just plays a complete, it just, your psyche goes wacko because you're in the dark. It's you don't know where to go. You don't think people care about you.
Well, and just to add to what you're saying, and you're 1,000, not 100, you're 1,000% correct, Jim. Forgive me, Jeff. My bad, Jeff. You're 1,000% correct, Jeff. You're there. There's mass flooding. There's debris everywhere. You've lost your home. Maybe you've lost family members. There are dead bodies in the trees. There are dead bodies floating down these torrential flood streams that are everywhere, dead bodies in mudslides. It stinks. It smells. No internet, no electricity, no power, no cell phone service. You're isolated. You're alone. Your stomach is growling. Your lips are dry. Your tongue, your throat is dry. There's no water. And you see a private helicopter in the sky, and you're thinking, oh my God, is it going to come to rescue me or drop some supplies? And then FEMA is telling them, get the hell out of there, or we're going to arrest you. Or you can hear maybe a Jeep or a vehicle a couple miles away, or see something, and then you see FEMA people coming and literally slashing their tires and saying, how dare you do this? We don't want private assistance. We're going to handle this. We're the government. How abandoned, how betrayed, how demoralized you must feel. And deep down in the pit of your stomach, Jeff, you know, because they've come to you again and again at the door calling you. What they really want is what's underneath your ground. They want that lithium, and you know it. And they won't take no for an answer. And you're asking yourself, do they want me dead so they can get all that lithium? Do they want me to stand here and realize that we can never rebuild and forcibly have us removed so they can come in for a massive land grab and take all this? So is that all I am to them? An obstacle to their tens and hundreds of billion, if not $1 trillion? Is that all I am in my own country, in America? I mean, these are the thoughts that are, do fellow Americans even care about me? Do they know about me? Have we been abandoned? And I'm going to say this because I need to say this, Jeff. And Florida is the same. I can't tell you how many people from Florida disproportionately serve in our armed forces and our military. Disproportionately, I'm telling you. Look at the numbers in Western North Carolina. Look at the numbers in Georgia. Look at the numbers in Tennessee. Look at the numbers in South Carolina. I'm not saying people don't serve from all over the country. Of course they do. Okay, there's no question. But disproportionately, those are good, decent, patriotic people. When their country needs them, they rise to the occasion. They're the first to say, I'm going to serve. If I have to die for my country, I will. Those are patriots. Those are good, decent, salt of the earth Americans. They don't deserve this. Hey, nobody deserves this, but they especially, they don't deserve this. And then you see, I'm sorry, it's just, I'll play the cut again and again and again. Your Secretary for Homeland Security, who has helped tens of millions of illegals pour into your country, comes out and gives a press conference and says, there's no more money. What do you mean there's no more money? There's no more money. There's no more money? No, there's no more money. Because we had to spend $1 billion to resettle all these illegals and give them housing. Or we just cut an $8 billion check to Ukraine on top of the $250 billion that we've given them. So I'm worth less than a Ukrainian? I'm worth less than Zelensky and his crooks who are 3,000 miles away. I'm worth less than someone who just, came in from El Salvador or Nicaragua, who just literally just crossed the border, and all of a sudden they get everything. And here in my desperate hour of need, I worked my whole life. My parents worked their whole lives. My spouse works their whole life. We pay taxes. We contribute. And now there's no money for us? And I'm what? You're going to leave me to die here? In the mountains of Western North Carolina? I'm sorry. It's beyond sickening. It's beyond sickening. It's beyond outrageous. Look, I'm with Elon. It's treason. I'm sorry. This is stone cold treason. And I'll be really honest with you, Jeff. I've always been like this. If you hate me Okay, I'm not saying you do, but I'm saying if someone hates me, I swear to you, I respect you more if you just tell me to my face that you hate me. I'm telling you, I respect you more. I hate you, and I want to kill you and your family. Okay. I mean, I don't like you either. But at least you show me the honesty, the dignity of being honest to me. She goes down there with that cackle and that fake smile. And notice, when she was in Georgia and North Carolina, this time she didn't put on her fake accent. When she's in Detroit in front of a black audience, then she puts on her fake accent. Or when she's in front of Hollywood or whatever, doesn't matter. When she's in front of another voting block of hers, then all of a sudden, boy, she puts on that fake phony accent. But this time, there was no Southern drawl. No, she wasn't trying to do a Carolina accent. This time, it was her San Francisco accent. All you're getting is $750 with a big smile. Like, see how generous I am? See how good I am to you? Huh? You should be grateful. And you can apply online. The computer is washed away. The phones are gone. There's no power. There's no electricity. There's no internet. Apply with what? They're hoping the water doesn't bring them down and they drown to death. They're clinging to trees or on top of roofs, saying, "Is somebody going to save us?" But but you can go on the internet and get your $750. They won't even give you the check to your hand, man. So, I mean, look, she's disqualified herself. She's not fit to be president of the United States. This should cost her the election, period, full stop. Full stop. And I'm going to play the cut again. Jeff, I want you to hear this, because I'm telling you, you're not going to believe it. Joe Biden, Joey, who, by the way, they had to interrupt rescue operations for this idiot to be in a helicopter. Okay, this buffoon. And he's flying around in a helicopter. So they had to interrupt it. It disrupted rescue operations. So forget saving lives or rescuing people or whatever, giving them necessary food and water. No. It's got to be Joey. He needs his photo op. So he's in a helicopter. Jeff, God is my witness. He spent the whole day in that helicopter. All he's touring are parts of Georgia and Florida impacted by Hurricane Helene. He finally comes back. It's in the evening now. He's outside Marine One. Now, this is a hurricane. This is the biggest hurricane we've had in decades. This is the biggest news story in the country, maybe the world. You just spent the whole day from the sky surveilling the damage. The reporter asks, well, hey, all these states in that storm zone, like, have you learned anything in terms of what they need, what you can do after spending all day in the sky? Listen to his incredible response. This I never thought would happen in any country in the world, any country, but never mind in the United States. This, to all you liberals and Democrats that voted for this idiot, this buffoon, you choke on this. You justify to me how you could have voted for this guy. This is Biden. Roll cut 1. Mike.
What do the states of the storm zone need, Mr. President?
Right?
What do the states of the storm zone, what do they need after what you saw today?
Oh, in the storm zone?
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering what storm you're talking about. They're getting everything they need. And they're very happy across the board.
Okay, they're not happy. Nobody's happy. That's a complete brazen lie. Nobody's happy. Nobody. Okay? Even the governors are saying they're not happy. Democrat, Republican, nobody's happy. But forget that. What storm? Literally, if you want to play it again. The press corps couldn't believe it. Even they were shocked by this. It sent shockwaves across the press corps. Well, I didn't know which storm you're talking about. What storm? What are you talking about? And they're like, you've just been watching it from the sky the whole day. This is our commander-in-chief, the United States of America. So you've got the idiot cackler, and you've got this demented, senile buffoon. And I'm telling you, she's dumber, or she's as dumb as he's senile. And at this point, I don't know who's worse. All I know is this, Jeff. We cannot take 4 more years of this. No country can. No country can. I said it yesterday, and I'm going to say it again. This is my phrase, and everybody can use it. Kamala is, quote unquote, dangerously stupid. What you're watching now, this is dangerously stupid. Final word to you, Jeff.
My final word is, I don't agree with you 100%. I agree with you 1,000%. And in a closing argument, I think I say this from everybody in Kuhner country, Jeff, that in a non-sexual way, we love you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. God bless you, my friend. 617-266-6868. Heidi in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Heidi, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How you doing today?
Good. I feel very bad for the people in North Carolina and Georgia and East Tennessee. Everybody keeps forgetting them. But, Heidi, just very quickly, I'm going to give you all the time in the world, I promise. There are 8 workers in East Tennessee that were ordered by their bosses to stay in the factory that they work at, to guard it, to protect it from looters. And the factory got washed away. The whole thing got washed away in the hurricane and the torrential waters unleashed by the flood. And those 11 workers are now dead. This happened in East Tennessee. And they didn't want to stay. They said, this could be very dangerous. You're putting our lives at risk. And they were ordered to stay. And so East Tennessee has been forgotten. It's also part of Appalachia. Got very badly, very hard hit. And North Carolina and Georgia are getting a lot of attention, I understand. But I don't want to forget the people of East Tennessee, because you're hearing horror stories like this. And it's unspeakable what is now happening down there. Heidi, please go ahead.
Well, I'd just like to I'd like to say something in response to Biden, and I will not and cannot refer to him as president, because a real president would not do this to his own people. He was asked by officials, he spoke to officials and said that the American people have got to fund the victims of Helene because, and I quote, it's going to take a hell of a lot of money and a hell of a lot of time. But he's willing to hand over a blank check to Zelensky in Ukraine, and he can't help the people of America. He's leaving it up to the people in America. Well, I'll tell you what. President Trump launched a GoFundMe page in response from MAGA supporters to offer financial help to fellow Americans, and right now it is nearing the $5 million mark. Now that's a real president. That's a leader. He's boots on the ground, down in those areas, and he's helping the people, lead them to safety. He's in the water with the people.
Heidi, let me ask you point blank. Do you think this storm, this hurricane, and the utterly callous, shocking, frankly disgusting response from Harris, Biden, and FEMA, will this propel Trump into the White House?
I believe
Not
so.
should
I mean,
it.
those
Not
people,
should it. Do you think it will?
I think it will, because these people will not forget the lack of support that they got from this regime.
From your lips to God's ears. I agree with you. I completely agree with you. Heidi, thank you very much. This is, Doug Schoen, who's a lifelong Democrat, he's a pollster, and he went on Fox News, and, he said, I find the response from Harris, Biden, and FEMA mind-boggling, that they could be this obviously callous and indifferent in the wake of not just this natural disaster, but this catastrophic disaster. He goes, it's inexplicable. And I think, no, it is explicable. They're bowing to their corporate paymasters. They're bowing to BlackRock. They're bowing to the globalists who want the lithium. To me, that's the only way I can explain this. Because you're right, Heidi. Politically, this is blowing up in their face. She's lost Florida. She's lost Tennessee. She's lost South Carolina. And most importantly for the Electoral College, she's now kissed away Georgia and North Carolina. Your reaction, your calls, next. 9:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is Jack on Messenger. Either you laugh or you cry, so you might as well laugh a little bit. This was Jack message. This is the message he sent me on Messenger. Jeff, $100 says Joe was sleeping on the helicopter. Jack, I'm not taking that bet. Because you're going to win. I'll be out $100 easy. Oh, yeah. He was napping the whole time. I don't think the guy saw anything. He just got on and just started sleeping and snoozing and snoozing and snoozing. 617-266-6868. Okay. Very, very quickly. So this is from 781. Jeff, in the areas where FEMA has landed, there are very credible reports now that claim FEMA is confiscating all of the food and other resources that private individuals and groups are trying to distribute. Now, you may say, well, why? Why would they do that? They're claiming you can't trust the water, you can't trust the food, you can't trust the supplies by private citizens, by civilians. No, it's got to be government-approved water or government-approved food. No, that's a pretext. They just don't want the resources to arrive. This is about power and control. There's no question now in my mind. And to show you how bad it's getting, this is from 603. And this person actually sent me pictures to back it up. I've read some of these stories confirming this, so I know it's true. Jeff, locals are using mules. Mules. I'm talking like donkey, mules, donkeys, mules to get insulin and other necessary supplies, medications, food, water into Black Mountain, North Carolina. Let's see FEMA try to flatten those tires. So this is what I'm saying. We're battling our own government to try to get in help. And so, okay, you're going to slash our tires? You're going to threaten to arrest us? You're going to try to confiscate our food? So, like the illegals, like, the coyotes. Okay, well, we're going to use secret routes, little trails, hidden trails, and we're going to get the supplies in and the insulin and the medicines in by using mules and horses. That's how we're going to do it. So we're now smuggling supplies to help Americans who are dying and desperate to evade our own government. You can't make this up. 617-266-6868. Lines are jammed. Mark in Connecticut. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Jeff. Hey, I'm listening, and I'm hearing crickets. Where the hell are the Republicans? What is going on? These people should be shouting from the rooftops in unison. Where's the inquiries? Where is the impeachment boards? Where is anything from those useless pieces of human debris? My God. And you wonder why I dropped out of the Republican Party and registered unaffiliated. This is the reason. These people are about useless as tits on a ball. My God, how do these people sleep at night, Jeff? You know, I'm not the world's best person in the world and stuff, but at least my humanity's intact. My God, how do you know, remember Jesus said about the rich man going through the eye of the needle, the camel going through the eye of the needle. I understand that more and more and more every single year now. You could see what he was saying, that things have not changed. Since way back then before, and things have not changed. The love for money steals your humanity away, and the lust for power is disgusting. I don't get it. How do you live with yourself? How you look at yourself in the mirror? I don't know.
Mark, I couldn't have said it. Buddy, you are on fire, man. I couldn't have said it better myself. No, Mark, you've nailed it. Trump and J.D. Vance. Okay, right, obviously, Trump and J.D. The only two Republicans, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, I have to say this, at least on social media, she's been very, very active, very vocal. So, okay, to be fair, but outside of Trump, J.D., and let's say a handful of members of Congress, you're right. Where are the Republicans? And Mark, I don't know if you remember Hurricane Katrina. Do you remember how the Democrats tore into Bush? Oh, man, they called him every name in the book. The media, they were relentless. They kept showing image after image, photo after photo. It was nonstop, 24/7 saturation coverage. Where the Republicans, where are they? Mark, final word to you.
Final word to me is, you know, I know other friends of mine have dropped out of the Republican Party. You know, I'm Mark from Connecticut. Obviously, I'm from Connecticut. In Connecticut, they're totally non-existent, and they march along with the Democrats and stuff. At least the Democrats work together and all row in the same direction.
This is we know what POS. We know what you're trying to say, Mark. Mark, thank you very, very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Is Mark right? Are the Republicans now, outside of Trump and JD and a few, are they useless? To me, yes. 948 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare, baby. 617-266-6868. Lines are loaded. Thomas in the Freedom State, Florida. Thanks for holding, Thomas, and welcome.
Good morning, or should I say not so good a morning for those people in those states.
That's right.
My commentary is more in the form of a question. Can't those legislators from each one of those states call emergency session to pass some kind of statute law so those people can vote?
Well, yeah, I think they're going to have to do that, and I think they will do that. And I think those people are going to have to insist that they're going to vote in their state. In other words, we're not going to go stay with our relatives, say, I'm just going to make up a state now. I don't know, in Massachusetts or in New York or wherever they may be, or in Tennessee or Florida. They're going to say, no, we want to vote in our state, whether it be North Carolina or Georgia, because they're key battleground states, but more importantly, it's our state. It's where we live. So you're not going to disenfranchise us and take away our right to vote. We've lost our homes. Some of us have lost family members and friends. We've lost our communities, our neighborhoods, our jobs, our livelihoods. You're not going to take away our right to vote. So I completely agree with you, Thomas. I think now the Republicans in particular have to step up in those state legislatures and insist, no matter what, that everyone affected by Hurricane Helene should be able to vote in their state. Period. Full stop. Thomas, thank you very much for that call. Excellent call.
Well, you're welcome.
Dan in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Thanks for taking the call, Jeff.
My pleasure.
What goes on in my mind is, I think this smells like fish. I think that, does our country have the ability to control weather patterns and potentially cause a catastrophe like this, blame it on a natural disaster, and then at that point, go ahead, take those deeply entrenched mountain people, boot them out of there because they're going to basically say that it's just non-livable anymore. You've been basically washed away. The water's bad. This is bad. That's bad. You can't live in here anymore. You're out, and we're going to occupy this situation because we want the lithium. And you have to think of the long-term thought of lithium because that's the new Green Deal. And if you say to yourself, they must be very, very confident in this election to be thinking about lithium if they don't feel they're going to win it or try to take it and win it. And that's what scares me, is because I think that there are people that are diabolical enough in this country to cause a catastrophe, to affect the vote, to affect the election, to continue the Green New Deal, have all the lithium they want for pennies because they've basically pushed everybody out of the mountains, and basically, how can I say, solidify the transformation of this country into a more authoritarian, communist, socialist situation. And as far as I'm concerned, I smell it, I sense it, I hope it's not true. But it wouldn't be so far-fetched to think that it couldn't happen. And Jeff, for FEMA not to show up, that's just a prelude to them not caring. You care so much about...
Dan, you broke up on us. Dan, you broke up. But anyway, Dan, you made your main point, and thank you very much for that call. Look, this is what I was going to ask Dan, as he was, I was listening to everything what he was saying, about this is a prelude to really an authoritarian communist style regime. You don't care about your citizens. Well, let me ask all of you, okay, and the question answers itself, obviously, but this is what I was going to ask Dan, so let me ask all of you. If this was happening in China, communist China, Beijing, okay, with Beijing and the Chinese Communist Party running that country through Beijing, its capital, and you've got people stranded, you've got people isolated, people are dying, people are desperate, and they're sitting on all this lithium that regime wants for their EVs, for their batteries, for their, their version, because China has also embarked on a major Green New Deal. Would they be treating their citizens any differently than the way our government is treating ours in those affected areas? You would expect that from Beijing. You'd say, well, that's the Chinese communists. Yeah, they'll allow their own people to die just to remove them from that land. Say it was a mountainous area in a province in China. They go, yeah, those are mountain people. They've lived there forever. Well, now they're going to remove them, and they're going to take all the lithium. And they don't care how many die. And, get lost. And here's a $750 check, and, be grateful we're giving you that. You would say, yeah, that's what life is like under a communist society, under communist rule. What's the difference? What's the difference? Harris and Biden and FEMA are treating the people in Western North Carolina and in those affected areas in Georgia exactly, identically to the way the communist Chinese regime treats its own people. And remember, this started under COVID. We began to treat our citizens the way the communist Chinese treat their own. Remember, the whole concept of the lockdowns, that came from communist China. That was their model. We borrowed it from them. Vaccine mandates, that came from them. Mask mandates, that came from them. So as we become more communized, more socialistic, with November 5th being, I think, the hammer and sickle revolution, you're going to see more and more Americans get treated the way they're treated in communist China. The way citizens there are treated. The way the people of North Carolina and Georgia are now being treated. And so what I'm trying to warn everybody is, don't think, oh, that's just going to affect them, down south. No. If something hits us here, say in the greater Boston area, or wherever you're listening to this show, New Hampshire, Maine, wherever, okay? Florida, wherever. They're going to treat you the same way. That, to me, is the most chilling thing of all. This is our future under Kamala Harris. And so I got to say this before, have a nice weekend, everybody, obviously. But if you're going to vote for Kamala Harris, seriously, you need to get your head examined. And on that note, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.